Hello, future millionaires, and welcome back to the Get Rich Slow podcast. We are your hosts, Adrian Shermer, Rob Delavan, and Lance Johnson. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
You can find us online at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, YouTube with video, and Stitcher, among other streaming services. Today is episode 3 of 3 in our series with Thea Ranney. Hi, Thea. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome.
Great, thanks.
Thea is the owner of Thea's Organizing Services and the powerhouse behind it. And today's episode is all about the future for her and her company. And we got another beautiful visual aid to tie in here. It's been a blast having you on the show. Today's the final one. And boy, here's another just great before and after. A kid's room.
Yes.
This was fun, huh?
It was. This was one of the most emotional jobs I've done. So the picture on top, for the people who can see the visual portion of this feed, is the picture on top is something a lot of people don't like to talk about, but this is hoarding. This is very typical standard hoarding. Walking into this little girl's room, mom's clothes were a little bit higher than my kneecap. The door where it stayed there. It did not open, did not close. And a big part of doing this process was working extremely closely for months with the mom on downsizing and getting rid of stuff, and then working on storage solutions to actually give her daughter her room back, which was her only goal. And so it was amazing. And I was actually lucky enough to be able to go back out this year and be able to do this. Picture is about a year and a half old. And we went back out in May just to do another quick purge. She was freaked out that it had gotten just as bad before. It was nothing even near. She barely had anything on the floor, but they just needed to have
a refresh or
a refresher. Yeah, exactly. And just kind of go back through and get rid of the other things that we had set aside, where if they didn't use it in 6 months, it needed to go. So we actually were able to get rid of those things because they weren't used, which was amazing. Cool. So seeing the transformation in this one is huge for me, definitely. And it's even better now. It's crazy.
And for reference, how old was the little girl here?
She was when we started, she was 6.
Okay.
So she had like a bunk bed, and
it's a loft bed. Yeah,
and you had to repurchase a new.
We bought a new bed. She really wanted to make this her daughter's space because she had overtaken it for so long. And just so hoarding is going to be a big topic of today. So just so everybody kind of knows, my consultation with her when we first met, she was absolutely bawling to me because my biggest question working with anyone who's hoarding is, why are we taking the step now? And it's not an insult. It's a real question that I want to know the answer to. Her response to me, and this is when she started crying, was, my daughter wakes up every morning super excited because we've planned to clean and we've planned to get the house together that day. And then by the end of the day, it doesn't happen. And by 5 o'clock, she is in my arms bawling to me that we couldn't do this and we couldn't make this happen and we didn't clean the house. And that's why she actually reached out to me. Wow. So it may be hard to reach out when you have a situation like this and you feel at fault, but it's okay because that's what we're here to help fix.
All right. So Thea, tell us about this book. So you've had 2 good books in the previous episode. Why is this one so important?
Because it's so good. Again, hoarding is a big topic today. So Trevor Noah he overcame so much to get to where he is. He literally started absolutely nothing and was thrown from moving vehicles and like all of these crazy things that happened to him just to try to keep him safe on a daily basis. So this book is amazing for overcoming any kind of personal obstacle in your life. It's just an amazing thing to listen to.
So it's Born a Crime by Trevor Noah.
All right. So let me kick us off. As first question, what are your 3 biggest goals for personally, business? You take it where you want to go.
So most of our goals are business wise because that allows us to do everything in our personal life. So a big one is we are huge. Actually, all of our goals are community related. We're huge into the community. And last year we added hauling services onto what we do. We haul trash and donations and appliances and electronics and just literally everything. And so a big thing that we are wanting to do, because we are also friends with other small hauling companies, is we want to yearly start getting together and rallying all of the small hauling businesses together and start doing a community cleanup once a year on areas that just seriously need to be cleaned up. And with us living around Portland, that's super easy for us to be able to do. So it'll be great once that starts. Another one is, and this one's not community related, but we have 2 patents that we're wanting to open up later for products related to the business. So we'll be working on that. And then the next one is our big end goal is we basically want to set up a giant warehouse. Donations are the driving force behind our business. We are one of the few companies that will take away your donations without a fee, unless it's a big haul, that's a little different. But in general, we really want to make sure that the donations remain just that. We want to make sure they remain a donation. And so we have all kinds of fun outsourcing them currently. However, what we would like to do is be able to obtain a warehouse and create a nonprofit and basically create a free store for anyone who can show that they're having any kind of hardship. And I say it that way because I don't want it to just feel like low-income communities are the only ones that would be welcomed. It's not. If you have a fire and you lost everything in your house, come see us. If you are a DV survivor and you're starting over new, come shop at our store. Don't just settle for the free stuff that people give you. Feel free to come and shop for the things that you want to have in your home. It is such a huge thing mentally when you're already dealing with something you feel is super hard, to be able to choose those things. Super important. So that's our third and biggest one for sure, is we want to have that nonprofit.
So you glossed over a little bit. Not everybody, our listeners, know what DV stands for.
Domestic violence.
Okay.
So men and women and children who have all been victims of DV, we want to make sure that since they've gotten out of this extremely hard situation, that they have the opportunity to feel good about themselves moving forward and already dealing with all the turmoil they're dealing with, and choosing the things that surround you instead of settling for crap people give you is a big part of that. Definitely.
So go through your 3 biggest goals just in a short.
So we want to do, I'm calling it the nonprofit warehouse, the store. That's
Awesome.
the big one. We want to do community cleanup annually with other trash hauling companies and create a huge movement for that. And then we have 2 products that we want to get patent. It'll probably be next year by the time we get them patent, and then really have those out on the market.
Sweet. Nice job.
All right, Thea, what would you do if you knew you would not fail?
The store. The warehouse store, without question, it would be opened yesterday if I knew it would be done without fail.
Interesting. What are some of the
Fears.
Yeah.
Fears are, I have ran a lot of businesses. However, nonprofit is not any of the ones on that spectrum. And it is a whole different beast. And being someone who's done businesses and have seen a lot of them fail as well, not my own, just in general, seeing businesses fail. It's I think with the warehouse being our biggest end goal for sure, if that failed, that would be a very hard thing to take. So taking my time and making sure that it's done properly and start it the right way is worth it.
Okay. So last question we have for you, Thea, is what are your plans here moving forward for growth?
To continue to be loud and obnoxious.
I think you probably got that covered. And actually, you might have
There you go.
Pace practice.
a couple of fellow customers here too. maybe even 3.
Maybe, but it's one of those things where I my biggest plans for growth, there's two, and one of them is to continue to network the way that I have been. So BNI, as well as, popping in on chamber meetings and doing all of the networking through Facebook that you can do, but actually creating connections and talking with people. By far, that's the best way for anybody to grow their business, especially if you're a service business. There's nothing better you can do than that. But the other thing is that once we are officially fully nationally certified and everything else, we really want to start doing seminars and classes for hoarding. We want to make sure that we can bring a lot of awareness to the different types of hoarding, the different levels of hoarding, and depending on what profession you're in, the different ways to actually deal with someone who hoards. Because I mean, I'm sure Rob is a realtor, as well. Oh, yeah. Hoarding, all kinds of different service providers deal with people who hoard, and it's important to know how to do that in the right way and not be quote unquote grossed out by what you're seeing. And typically there's nothing gross there to begin with. So it's that's another big portion. And if nothing else, that's just for the stop the stigma thought process that I have about hoarding and moving forward and people understanding how that looks.
Rob, I thought you could sell a house with hoarding situation.
You can, and we have.
Yep. But it sells as is.
Exactly. It's definitely not top dollar is the problem. And typically the input, in my experience, the input for the cost and time and so forth with somebody like Thea is well worth the higher sales price.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where, while we're going through dealing with hoard, we donate absolutely everything that's worth being able to be donated versus everything being trashed, which is extremely common with those situations. It's a very different beast for sure. I actually go out with realtors regularly when they get that dreaded phone call of, please don't judge my house and please don't judge me. Cool. If you get that phone call, call me because I'll go with you. And while you assess the house, I assess the hoard. And those are two very, very different things. And making someone feel comfortable with anybody walking their house, I mean, you're just destined to have a good outcome from there, period.
Isn't the question, please don't judge me, but I'm looking for top dollar?
pretty much. A big problem is that depending on the kind of hoard, you'll have a lot of structural damage when it comes to hoarding. Like I said before, I've seen houses from the outside splitting at the seam, and that's a very real thing, and that's very severe structural damage. Still needs to be dealt with, still needs to be looked at and made sure that people know. But selling a house like that is it's a lot more complicated for sure.
So just to follow up on this for growth, is your plans to scale and you can't be everywhere, and how does that work?
We can too. So, I mean, as of right now, we already travel all along the Western Sea Line, doing what I do. We were down in Arizona last year, in California, and up in Washington a lot. So there's myself. My husband works for me full time. Our children are involved on projects that are safe for them to do. And then we also have a team of several people that can come and help us deal with larger project jobs. And we definitely want to be having, if I could have a team of 20 people to do local work with, that would be absolutely fantastic. So that's what we're building towards right now for sure.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, the scaling, that's going to be really interesting, where you convert your passion for what you do and your giddy up being the horsepower driven business owner.
That's the most accurate way to put that. 1000%. I was like half asleep last night, still writing down lists of things that need to be done. My husband just looked at me, he's like, you can't stop, can you? No, it's fine.
Well, I'm looking forward to incredible things. And I just hope to continue to be a little bit along for the ride.
I don't see that changing anytime soon. Should be fine.
All right, Thea, thank you again. This is episode 3 of 3, so we're going to have to say goodbye to you for now. We'll probably end up having you back, though, in the future as we see your business grow. You're getting pretty exponential results right now. I know you're super busy, but if people want to get a hold of you, where can they do that?
Everywhere. 1000%. Queen of communication. So phone, call, text, email, all the random things through social media and my website. They all have different ways to reach out to me. So theasorganizingservices.com is my email, either one of our social media platforms. If you go to at Thea's Organizing, you'll find us. And then also our email, which is amazingly comical, Thea, THEASOS @outlook.com.
Love it. Fantastic. As always, you can find more information about our companies as well in the show notes if you'd like to reach out to me or Rob and Lance. And then there's links to Thea's websites and social media on there as well. Go ahead and take a look at some of these before and afters. They're fantastic. Go to roi-fa.com/events to learn about what we're doing locally. We've got our mix and mingle events, wine and mingle events, I should say. There's a Learn and Grow on August 12th, a summer bash on the 20th. And then later down the road, we're going to have some photos with Santa on the 12th of November. Thanks again, as always, for joining us on the Get Rich Slow podcast. We look forward to seeing you next time, folks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.